All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be looking at India's latest trade numbers. And, at first glance, they seem pretty simple. But once you start to peel back the layers, you find this really fascinating, almost contradictory story. It's like a tale of two different economies, moving at completely different speeds, all at the same time. So that brings us to the big question here. Is India's trade performance stalling out, or is it actually soaring? Well, the crazy thing is, the answer is yes. It's doing both. It really just depends on where you decide to look. So here's the headline number that everyone sees first. For the first quarter of the fiscal year, India's total trade grew by about 3.5%. Okay, not bad. It's steady, it's modest. But trust me, that single number is hiding some absolutely massive shifts happening just beneath the surface. Let's start with part one of this story. We're talking about the traditional sectors, kind of the old guard of India's export machine. And right now, they are facing some pretty serious headwinds. First up, let's talk mineral fuels. For years, this has been a cornerstone of India's exports. But look at this. It's not just a small dip we're seeing. It's a really significant decline. This is a big deal for a sector that's historically been such a powerhouse. And here's the number to back it up. A drop of nearly 32%. Wow, that is a major contraction. And it's mainly because of lower petroleum shipments heading to key markets like the Netherlands and the US. And it's not just happening in the fuel sector. Another huge pillar of India's traditional exports, gems and jewelry, also took a pretty big hit, shrinking by over 8%. So you can see, this pressure isn't just isolated to one industry. So what's going on here? Well, a couple of key things are at play. For one, you've got this growing competition from the lab-grown diamond market, which is really shaking things up. And on top of that, there are higher tariff pressures in the United States, which has always been a massive buyer of these goods. Okay, but while that old guard is struggling, a new guard is rising, and it's rising fast. So let's flip to the other side of this two-speed story, because this is where a completely different picture starts to emerge. Now check this out. In a complete contrast to what we just saw, exports of electrical machinery and equipment have just absolutely skyrocketed. This right here is where all the momentum is shifting. The growth here is just staggering, a 45% jump. And you know what's driving this massive rise? It's overwhelmingly one single product: smartphones. This is a huge signal that India's manufacturing and export game is moving towards much higher tech goods. But as impressive as that electronics boom is, it's not even the biggest part of the growth story. Nope. The real engine, the true powerhouse pushing India's trade numbers up, is the services sector. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. You see that bar from merchandise, physical goods, growing at a modest 2%. But then look at services. It jumped by a whopping 7%. The difference is huge. This is where the real action is. So all these shifts in what India is selling are, unsurprisingly, having a direct impact on who India is selling to. It's like the country's entire trading map is being redrawn right before our eyes. And here's where it gets really interesting. While the overall picture looks kind of stable, the balance with some of India's most important trading partners is way off. Specifically, the trade deficit with its free trade agreement partners, those are the countries with special deals to lower taxes on goods, that gap is getting much wider. This table tells the whole story. Just look at these numbers. Exports to these partners fell by 9%. At the same time, imports from them grew by 10%. So what's the result? The trade deficit absolutely ballooned by almost 60% in just a single year. Okay, and now for the final part of our story, and honestly, it might be the most exciting. Beyond all the electronics and traditional services, there's a whole new frontier emerging as a massive driver of trade, what we call the creative economy. So what exactly is the creative economy? Well, think of it as any industry that's built on human creativity and digital tech. We're talking about everything from software and gaming to advertising, design, movies, you name it. It's basically trade in ideas and pure innovation. And this is no small niche we're talking about. According to the UN, global trade in creative services hit $1.5 trillion last year. That's more than double the entire value of trade in creative goods. This is where the real value is shifting globally. So here you can see the two sides of that creative coin. On one side, you've got your creative goods, physical items, and on the other, creative services, the world of digital innovation. And as you're about to see, India's performance in these two areas couldn't be more different.
Let's put some hard numbers on that. India's creative goods exports around $20 billion. It's modest, but its creative services exports a massive $94 billion. That makes India the fourth largest creative services exporter in the entire world.
So what does all this tell us? It proves that India's core strength on the world stage is shifting in a big way. It's not just about manufacturing anymore. It's increasingly about its talent, its skilled people, its digital know-how, and its capacity for innovation. Which really leaves us with one last big question. Are we actually watching a fundamental transformation here? Is this two-speed story, this rapid pivot away from old-school goods and toward high-tech and creative services, is this the definitive future of India's trade?